That's catchy.
It is catchy, right?
It's good.
It's catchy. Jump back on. All of us dancing terribly. Not so much.
Yeah, Les was at the club last night, man. He's ready.
Not even, man. Not even.
Les was at the McDonald's drive-thru last night. That's what he was doing.
I recreated the supersize, man, with multiple dollar menu items.
That's awesome.
How is there a hungry person in America when you got the dollar menu from McDonald's? There's what might not be a healthy person, but you shouldn't be hungry. That is a given. If you're hungry for football knowledge, you are at the right place. The fantasy frame. What the holy hell? Good Lord.
Want to start that one over again?
Rewind. Jeez, Christmas. Maybe I had the long night last night. It is early in St. Louis, but you were here with us. The Fantasy In Frames, capital I-N-N. Jorge, that's a nod to you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And the pregame show, as always. This time, look at us. We're expanding. We're trying to get the Brady Bunch boxes going eventually. Like we had, remember last year we had about 8 people on at one time.
It's about to get like that today, to be honest with you.
It's great.
We're horrible. CNN.
Exactly. It was
somebody injured in the London game? I'm seeing people kneeling down around a player. Who is this?
I don't know. For people watching, if you are on sketchy cable like Tyler and I, you're about 3 minutes behind. So
I'm streaming. Actually, I cut the cord. I said no more. Can't do it.
Well, we're streaming through other services. Maybe we won't mention that. Good morning, everybody. I'm Nate Markham. Joining me as always, Jorge B. Edwards. Jorge.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you are ready for another awesome week of football action here on Sunday. Just wanted to give a shout out to everybody here and everybody watching. Head over to fantasyandframes.com today. Before your matchups, check out our rankings for offense and half PPR scoring. Check out our rankings for IDP. Check out all of our start and sit articles for offense and for IDP. Our looking for fantasy football upside articles where we're looking at the players who could exceed their ECR this week. Les is killing it with his fantasy football for your information articles talking about running backs this week. So head over to fantasyandframes.com today. Check out all of our content before you set your lineups for the last time for this week.
Yes. Great shout outs. Everybody's doing great work. I can tell you it's constant, just quality. Articles are written well, edited extremely well, Jorge. You're doing a fantastic job of that. If anybody out there in listener land looking to become an editor or assist and get into the writing ranks, of course, you can always reach out to Jorge at Jorge B. Edwards, myself at Nate Markham. Any of us here with connections, let us know. We're always looking to expand this family, and Jorge needs some help. Poor man's getting up to probably 4 a.m. editing some of our gobbledygook.
Oh, you should see the stuff I send him, Nate. It's like 8 pages long.
Condensed into 4 paragraphs. It's something.
How do you transition? What font is crayon? Is that Helvetica?
People?
No, just keep.
Just me.
Just keep.
But no, it's crazy. I started importing now all of our start and sit stuff and our waiver stuff. Who's number 6? Number 6 for the Vikings. He's being carted off with apparently knee injury.
Digit, don't care.
Unless it's
Dalvin Cook is a single digit.
Running backs.
So is Alexander Madison.
Yeah.
And neither one of them are 6. I say that very confidently, don't I?
Madison's 2, Cook's 4. You're good, Nate.
Combined, they're 6. So it's CJ Ham probably.
Nah, CJ Ham's 30.
All of our stuff's on Instagram. So for all you little millennials, not millennials, for the generation after millennials who like going on Instagram a lot to get their fantasy information, we have that for you there now. So
we have a MySpace account as well.
Guess who number 6 is, Jorge? A rookie safety out of Georgia.
Lewis Cine.
Lewis Cine. Yep.
No.
Does he have oxygen? They were holding something on his face.
He might be in. If he's suffered a major injury, sometimes if you go into shock, they'll administer oxygen.
Oh my God!
If that's the case, or maybe he's just, tired. I'm not laughing.
Or he's tired because
that altitude in London will get you.
Kirk Cousins gonna Kirk Cousins, guys.
Oh God.
All right. Let's as we watch the game, tune in. Obviously, give us your start sit questions.
Yes, please.
If you're behind like all of us, you get to listen to play-by-play by everybody except for Tyler and me. So we will give you follow-up to what happened 6 minutes ago if you want immediate reaction to what happened 4 plays that you've already seen. Breaking. Oh, looks like that might have been a tournament. All right, Cleveland, Atlanta, the second game on the docket today, considering this game right now, Minnesota New Orleans, is already going on. Jonathan Klanowski, our Fantasy and Frames overseas contributor, is at the game right now. Hopefully he'll be able to tune in this week and join us and tell us a little bit about how the experience was overall. You think Billy's there, Jorge, or not?
I did not get word from him this week about that. I do know Jonathan is definitely Jonathan bought the season ticket package for all the London games, so he's definitely he's there. But I don't know about Billy, to be honest with you.
That was awesome. I think that they had a chance to meet and everything. It's that family spread far and wide. So Cleveland 2-1. Tyler, can you believe that 2-1 Cleveland Browns team?
No, I can't because they should be 3-0, Nate.
Whoa!
Wow. Cleveland bias coming out in full force here.
Did anyone else watch the Jets game?
You can't stop Joe Flacco, and you know that, Tyler.
Yeah, you should never win a game when you're up by 13 with 1 minute and 25 seconds left. That might be worse than 28 to 3.5.
Nothing's worse than 28 to 3.5.
Nothing. Yeah, let's not let Keith off the words. I can't talk.
All right, I'll take over for you. What Jorge was trying to say is the Atlanta Falcons at 1-2, 1/5 of the way to their 5-win total that Keith has forecasted. Will they get?
It was over. It was more.
I said over. I said 5 to 6. Nate is correct, but
no, I'm wrong. So we're 1/6 of the way there. So you're less than 20%, which is not bad.
That's okay. We'll get number 2 today.
Less will they get number 2 today?
I still don't know what's on the line here.
We'll go back.
Yeah,
we'll rewind. Rewind. Les, quick question.
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? Will Atlanta beat the Browns today?
No.
Perfect.
Watching Cleveland against Pittsburgh. I think Brissett is on to something now with that offense, and they look really good. So Hunt, Chubb running the ball well, the way he's connecting with Njoku and Amari Cooper, I think they're hot right now.
That is interesting. You talk about Amari Cooper, and in our fades and plays, one of the fades that I was contemplating this week, which was hard, was Amari Cooper.
AJ Terrell.
That is the question right there. But that in itself brings up an interesting discussion. Amari Cooper has gotten 30% of the targets so far on the season. AJ Terrell, going into this season, would be, I believe, the consensus top 3 corner in terms of overall shutdown coverage ability. Yet when you look at what he's done on the season, it's a little scary because he may not have given up a ton of the plays, like the big plays or the big yardage games, but he has allowed 5 touchdowns. So by comparison to last year, he's given up more touchdowns than he did all of last year. He's about 80% of the way to the total yardage allowed last year. Last year, he allowed right around like 200 yards passing, 250, I believe is what it was. Of course, I don't have it directly in front of me, but I'll just spitball. And he's allowed nearly 200 so far on the season. Is AJ Terrell elite? Is this situational? I can't tell you I've watched every single snap. There's plenty of times where numbers don't do it justice. But how do we feel about Amari Cooper in that matchup? Do we exclude what we've seen for the first 3 weeks out of Terrell? Is it Terrell or Terrell? What do we think?
AJ Terrell.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. So my opinion is that Kevin Stefanski is a really, really smart dude. He knows how to line up an offense. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's just going to put Amari Cooper out wide and let him play one-on-one all game against AJ Terrell.
Right.
They figured it out real quick. Week 1, Donovan Peoples-Jones looked like the wide receiver 1 because, Jacoby Brissett has limitations. No one is arguing that Jacoby Brissett's just going to start bombing it downfield. So they realized, hey, why do I have my best wide receiver not running our highest volume routes? And they immediately switched that. They found ways to get him open. They're moving him all over the field. He's playing out wide. He's playing in the slot. And I just think Stefanski's going to find a way to get him open. And that's why you said he has 30% of the targets on the season, right, Nate?
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think he got 3 targets in week 1.
Yes.
So he's been pushing 40 the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And they are building this passing game around him because it's him, man. He's it. They got no one else that they can truly rely on. David Njoku is a nice play, but he's not someone you can build a passing game around. So I'm pretty confident in Amari just going forward.
Yeah, it's nice when you have the RB1 on the season and the RB14 to help establish that running game. One of the shocking things for me, at least, shouldn't be shocking because we saw it last year, Keith, is that Cordell Patterson is the RB4 on the season. This matchup against the Browns is tasty on paper. Are you comfortable with him as he never has to be your RB1, but you're a DFS guy. Is he basically sliding into your core 4 type play this week?
Real quickly before I answer that, Stefanski, if he was so smart, he wouldn't have taken the Browns job. And I thought I liked Les until he said he picked the Browns. So we're off to a bad start here.
Wow.
Cordell Patterson is not one of my core 4 today. It's the price range. I like Cordell Patterson. I like the matchup. But when you got Khalil Herbert at 5,800, you got Hunt at 6,000, who I like a lot. Jamal Williams, 6,100 again, a really good matchup. He's going to get a lot of carries. There's guys that are cheaper that I think are better. I wouldn't, if you really want to go with Patterson, I'm not going to say, don't. The Browns have got 2 of their better upfront guys out. So, I mean, he should be able to run wild, but I just think there's better options for a little cheaper. So, no, he would not be in my core 4.
Yeah.
Full season, he's a smash play.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You're never not putting him in anymore. I mean, he's just proven.
Yeah, but you got to remember because people were spending. I mean, what was his draft price? 8th, 9th round, something ridiculous like that. Mm-hmm. So you could have a lot of other running backs that you can play over him.
Yep.
Don't.
Right
is my professional analysis there. Don't just play him. I said this before when we went live. The Browns were starting at defensive tackle Taven Bryan. Taven Bryan is a terrible football player. Taven Bryan is injured. He is not going to play. So they are going to play someone that is somehow worse than Taven Bryan.
Yeah.
So their rush defense has been terrible all year. They lost Anthony Walker a couple weeks ago. That hurt them really bad.
Right.
So take any running back against the Browns right now.
One other thing on AJ too, Nate, because you're talking about that huge change in the defensive systems from the mess that we were last year to a much more attacking, blitzing defense this year. And whether it's he just doesn't have the help over the top as much, and maybe that's making him play different, or it's just he doesn't completely understand the system as well. I'm not really worried about Terrell yet because again, it's a huge change in the defense we were running last year compared to this year.
Gotcha. No, and that's fair. It's 3 weeks in. If anything, it could possibly. I don't know what the fantasy community, when tasked with having a choice between someone like Amari Cooper and another wide receiver 2 level receiver, when they look at the cornerback matchups, actually how much they play into that. But maybe going forward, there could be a potential pay attention as other receivers line up against AJ Terrell. Who would you rather start, Jorge? Amari Cooper or Drake London?
Oh, wow. Give me...
We'll see whose side are you going to take, Jorge? Who's going to hate you more?
I'm going to go on this Browns train. I'm going to go Amari Cooper. I think going back to what you asked earlier about Terrell, like what is going on with him, it makes me wonder, as bad as Atlanta was last year, were they actually as bad as we thought? Was AJ Terrell really put in a lot of situations last year to where he could be quote unquote exposed as much as he's being quote unquote exposed this year? I don't know. But I'm going to go with the hot team here with the Cleveland Browns, and I'm going to go with Amari Cooper.
Two things I never thought I would hear: hot and team and Cleveland Browns put together.
How hard is it to separate the amount of talent that the Browns have in the secondary with the way they've been performing? Because their cornerbacks are. I love Greg Newsome. I love Denzel Ward, but that secondary has sucked all year.
Yeah.
We got a question here from Ryan H. over on YouTube. Hi, which running back should I start? Standard league, Rashad Penny, no. Ramondre Stevenson, Cordell Patterson, Jamal Williams, maybe Rashad Penny, depending on somebody else who has an opinion here. I also need to stick one of these guys in my flex, so I need 2 out of the 4 here. Is Craig Reynolds going to steal TDs from Williams also? All right, Keith, you're shaking your head. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I mean, Williams was number 1 in red zone touches, tied with Kareem Hunt coming into this week with Swift. So he's not going to steal any touchdowns. So you don't have to worry about that. I would go absolutely, wouldn't even think about it, Patterson and Williams.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to. What about you, everybody else?
I agree with that.
Seconded, third, whatever you want to say.
Yep.
Fifth.
Less?
That's not even close.
Yeah, no, I had Patterson and Williams both in my article this week for running backs. Keith, you're spot on with the red zone touches. Williams was getting work before Swift even went out, and now he's out against and Williams is up against a terrible Seattle run D this week. I was thinking about maybe Penny over Patterson, but the upside with Patterson is just too much to ignore. I got to go with that upside.
Yeah, one worth mentioning in reference to that, Ramondre Stevenson looks like he could very much be the James White role with actual rushing upside. Mm-hmm. So I'm really starting to like Stevenson rest of the season. I think he has to grow into that role a little bit for Bill Belichick over the next few weeks. But especially this being a standard question, it's Patterson and Jamal Williams for sure.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Ryan, for tuning in. Hey, got any more questions? Send them our way.
The rest of the Cleveland-Atlanta situation it's not as clear-cut. I mean, like, don't get me wrong.
Les, you got fans out the woodwork here, man. You're here for 1 week, and all of a sudden we get Les's fire spits fire. I love it.
Hey, McBeard, I see you out there, man. Thanks for the shout out. We're in like 3 leagues together.
Nice. Ryan says, thanks. Asked because Patterson may be injured and the Lions allowing everyone to score against them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you need to watch, but if Patterson's a go, he's going to go. He's a beast, man. He really is. That dude is huge.
Yeah. And I'm really not worried about Kenneth Walker still stealing any touches yet. I mean, Walker was outsnapped 49-9 last week. So, and granted, they're getting Walker acclimated, but I like all those plays. Actually, in standard, I'm a little bit less down on Ramondre than the others. If Cordell wasn't playing the Browns, maybe I would even consider but his rushing upside, I just feel like a lot of his value has been tied to receptions when it hasn't been.
It's not.
He's already gone over 100 twice. And
I know.
Scored a touchdown.
It's all perception. And that's the thing that we sometimes have to convince ourselves to look and see why the production's there, not just what the thought would be. Why, like we were talking earlier about Zeke, it feels like he should be higher than where he's at right now. And he's not. And it's odd that sometimes narrative builds up and then gets cloudy. And that's what we're here to do, is dispel the clouds. Like hopefully is
a
not
ray of
over
sunshine.
There's a ray of sunshine. The Atlanta Falcons could go to 2-2 on the season. A lot of that's going to come down to the defensive side of the ball. We didn't talk about Kyle Pitts. I think that Kyle Pitts there's nobody not starting Kyle Pitts if you've drafted them at this point. Last week was the hope that we needed, and we're going to go on. But David Njoku is one that people may, I don't want to say believe too much because the options are limited there, Tyler, and you're the Browns local, if you will. Does Njoku actually have, I mean, he has an 18% target rate so far in the season. That's a lot to do with this past week, really. But is he in your top 12? Or are you starting him over? I mean, I'm trying to think of a comparison. You have, say, a healthy Dalton, a questionable Dalton Schultz.
Before you answer, for chasing upside for our fantasy football upside article, Jonathan put together a little take on why Njoku could go above or rise above his ECR this week. So I'm curious to hear what Tyler has to say here.
Well, yes, I'm starting him. He's in my top 12, but I don't want that to be confused as like this ringing endorsement of David Njoku. I mean, he's going to be involved in the pass game. He absolutely is. I've got him at 11 right now, right in front of Pat Freiermuth and Gerald Everett. So it's have and have not with tight ends.
Where do you guys have Conklin? Because like for DFS, a lot of people have been talking about Njoku. Conklin, I don't understand what's going on. He's 3,600. He's third in receptions for tight ends, first in routes run, second in targets, third in points, and he's the 12th most expensive guy. He should be in basically every DFS lineup this week. He's
my 13 on the week.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that has, there's obviously a narrative that the 103 pass attempts by Flacco over the last couple of weeks might have, inflated the percentage and the looks to Conklin. And you wonder if that's going to change at all with, someone new under center.
A downgrade.
Yeah, it is. I mean, realistically, from a fantasy
Wilson, it's only 1 year, but Wilson threw the tight ends more last year than Flacco has historically for his career. So that's not necessarily true.
But would we say that the same, very similar sample size almost of just this season?
Man.
I mean,
no, I mean, like I said, it's only 1 year, but I think again, Wilson, running backs and tight ends, he threw to a lot last year. And I think that's going to continue this year. They're going to try to get the ball out of his hands quickly.
All right. So does it concern you that you have CJ Uzomah coming back, he was their priority in the offseason? The Jets prioritized CJ Uzomah over Tyler Conklin.
They did, but Conklin won the job before he got hurt.
Maybe. Well,
the greatest thing that Uzomah will go down for this year is that T-shirt of like the. You know what I'm talking about? The T-shirt that had like the MILF on it with Zach Wilson and the whole thing when it came out. Yeah, that was his highlight for the year.
We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Keith. You have to be playing Tyler Conklin right now. I've got him at tight end 13 just because I don't trust Zach Wilson. I just don't. Show me that you can support literally any fantasy production from any position whatsoever.
Just a reminder too, they're facing a team that just like Njoku has had one good game this year, go nuts against them. So the Steelers are really bad against tight ends. I love them. DFS this week, 3,600.
I don't blame you one bit. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is rankings wise.
Oh no, I'm not talking about
talking straight up rankings. Yeah, show me Zach Wilson. Go do literally anything of significance.
Other than hook up with a mom.
Yeah.
Zing.
That is very significant, though.
Wise beyond his years.
He's okay. I think between JetBlue in the family and NFL pedigree, he's going to be okay. I think even if he turns in and the evolution of Zach Wilson kind of plateaus kind of as I think me and Tyler kind of we agree on. I'm not, again, I hate to ever just throw a person out after one season, but again, you have to be a believer. I want to see it. I want to see who is going to take the lead in the Cleveland linebacking group. Anthony Walker, as we mentioned earlier, is out for season. JOK banged up. Looks like he's going to play despite the little groin scare that he had earlier in the week or last week, really. Jorge,
Phillips, right?
I mean, right?
By default, right?
Maybe. What about? I mean, he hasn't done a lot of significant stuff, but he's been on that team. He's consistently been a star on special teams. We're talking about Sione Takitaki.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be on that field a lot.
Yeah, and he will. And the one thing with Takitaki is that in this offense for Atlanta, everything most likely will stay centric to an extent, because I don't think they're going to have to do much to control this game personally. And that's
so.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupting, but Ryan is back saying Schefter is now reporting that Cordell Patterson will test if he can play. It could be a game time decision. Is this concerning for him to hold up the entire game? Keith, you said if he's playing, go for it.
Yeah, because I think with his matchup and his workload, out of those options, if he's playing, you got to go with him. Obviously, if he's not going to go, you can move Penny or one of those other guys in, but it's too good of a matchup, and he's getting way too much volume right now out of the rest of those guys, in my opinion, not to play him right now.
Yes. Another question here. Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, I was just going to second what Keith said, but then follow up with the Tyler Algier question of if Patterson were to sit. I mean,
that's who the pivot. That's who the pivot would be.
Yeah.
Got to be.
I mean, isn't Damian Williams still hurt?
No, yeah, I mean it would be Algier. I was excited when he got drafted. He hasn't really shown anything yet so far.
Yeah. He hasn't really had a shot, to be fair. But I mean, you're right. I
mean, I just want to see one play. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to run more than 6 yards. So,
we got a question here.
But back to Ryan's question, though, Keith. If you didn't start Patterson because of the injury, who would you go in that lineup? There was Penny, Stevenson, and somebody else that I know I wouldn't have picked. But I'm leaning on Penny on that if I didn't start Patterson.
Standard league for sure. If it was PPR, I might consider Stevenson, but I'm with you. Penny's, again, bad run defense, and it's a little weird. Seattle's not trying to run it more.
Got a question here from Big Perm 33. Rashad Bateman or DJ Moore? I think all of us, or at least a bunch of us here on screen last week, just kind of wrote on the epitaph for DJ Moore. See you when you get a new quarterback or on a new team. Just not happy with the wide receiver killer in Baker Mayfield. So give me Bateman. I know the conditions are supposed to be not exactly optimal for the passing game for this, but in normal great conditions, it's not optimal for DJ Moore. So give me Rashad Bateman this week.
Man, I bounce back and forth on that one.
That's so sad.
I exactly like you said, the conditions, and Bateman has done so much of that work on the
one
season
play.
On one big play, and you take that one play out, and he has, I mean, wide receiver 80 on as a whole. Now, granted, DJ Moore has played every game and has been involved, if you want to call it that, with so many routes run and hasn't done anything. But man,
he's had some tough matchups. So, in fairness, too, early this year, like I would lean more personally, just because I think Arizona is really bad against the pass, and I worry about the weather, and again the fact with Bateman and Buffalo's D. I mean, again, they had so many guys missing from that secondary yesterday, and they still slowed down a Miami offense that even on Thursday, until Tua got hurt, they've moved the ball at will on everybody, and they really kind of shut them down.
Yeah, it's just tough. It's tough because they both are. I want to believe DJ Moore, but I also don't want to go against exactly what I just said 5 days ago and fade DJ Moore. And I think Bateman. I have Bateman ranked higher, so I got to go Bateman, I guess.
Last two taken.
Yeah, I told myself at the beginning of this year that if I lose my fantasy leagues because I didn't draft DJ Moore, I'm gonna live with that. So it's the choice is easy for me. It's Bateman.
We got McBeard here commenting here. DJ Moore, squeaky wheel gets the grease. Problems with Baker will get 10 plus targets today.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I've wanted to come into this week and say DJ Moore is a bench until further notice kind of guy. He is so talented, man. He's so good, and he's just kind of getting, go Terps, man. He reminds me of another Terrapin wide receiver a little bit, actually.
No, so Bill Mustafa put out a tweet earlier this week. He's like, there is history for a Maryland wide receiver to be unhappy with his quarterback and request a trade out of town. It seemed to work out well for Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Bad Cam Newton, Kyle Allen, Sam Darnold, all these bad quarterback made DJ Moore still a 1,000-yard receiver. DJ Moore has Baker Mayfield, who's the healthiest out of all of these guys, and he only has 88 yards on the season. I can't put my faith in that.
Guys,
right
Matt Rule is trash.
Yeah,
that guy needs to go. Him being in that job every week is just it's bad for this team. It is actively bad for this organization to allow Matt Rule to continue to be the coach of this team.
That game as a whole is a slap in the face to every offensive coordinator that deserves a job somewhere. When you look at Kingsbury and Matt Rule being the heads of both of those two teams, it's it could very easily be the worst played 7-3 game. That game could also be 42-35, and it'd shock me a little bit, but
Baker's gonna have 2 games this year where he just goes nuts, because that's always been his MO of he shows you just enough to give you a tiny glimmer of hope, and it's always in a couple games where he just goes crazy and then just sucks the rest of the time.
Well, it's like, and like what Beard said is, even if let's say he gets 10 plus targets, he's gotten 6 every week. Let's assume let's just double the production, or let's 30% hike it. Let's go 60%. Why not? He still would, on the average, would give you 6 catches for like 75 yards, which would be fine if you could throw a touchdown in. But I'm never going to bank on a touchdown. It's even the squeaky wheel, unfortunately, might just have a bad tread, and you still might crash into the ditch. So
we have 2 questions here. One on Twitter. Bradley is asking, which DST, Seahawks or Colts?
Man. I gotta check these lines.
So I don't think Seattle has enough significant playmakers to see the sacks or the interceptions. They could come, but the pathway to turnovers with the Colts just seems a lot higher. But I mean,
they're really bad against pass.
I don't care. Well, as long as the defensive players are making plays, right? I guess padding up the stat totals, then
I mean, it depends on scoring, of course, but most are quasi penaltied for yardage and scoring, and heavily,
Seattle has 3 sacks in every game, right? It's 2 or 3.
I don't have that number off the top of my head.
Because I looked at them for daily fantasy this week. I'm pretty sure they have like 2-3-3 or 3-3-3 in 3 games. Yeah. They've scored 7 or more. They're averaging 7 points a game. That's a defense on DraftKings.
Yeah, my first question is, are those your only options on the waiver wire? But aside from that, though, in all fairness, I like Seahawks on that, mainly just because of the matchup with all the injuries to the Lions. If you made me choose, Titans looked pretty decent last week. So did the Colts defense as well. But yeah, I like Seahawks there.
What was the other question, Jorge?
The other question is we have here back from Ryan. Which 2 wide receivers should I start? Again, back with Standard League. Christian Kirk, Hollywood Brown, Brandon Ayuk, Curtis Samuel, and Joshua Palmer. He says he's nervous about Slay covering Kirk and nervous about the Brown injury.
So on the Kirk thing, that's the actual benefit that I think Kirk has, is he won't be on Darius Slay. I think Darius Slay was on the outside and Kirk will be in the slot.
Exactly. Yep.
And I think that's going to just lead a ton of passes over the middle to Kirk and as well as Travis Etienne.
Kirk is fourth in red zone targets, by the way,
too. Kirk caught a touchdown out of the backfield last week.
He's fourth in red zone targets. That is not what you think of when you think of Christian Kirk. You need to be playing him in every lineup, no matter what league you're in.
Yes, they've built this passing game around him.
Let's go back 4 weeks. Remember the analogy that I was saying in the preseason with Lawrence and Kirk is that he was eye humping him pretty much in every practice and every play. Guess what? Those eyes don't lie, and he does. He lives. He loves Kirk, and it's been exactly like we're thinking. Now, here's another benefit: Zay Jones is questionable, should play, and I mean, again, sounds just like a decoy outside that's not going to get many targets, and everything's going to funnel Christian Kirk. So, is it a consensus that we have Kirk as one of the two?
Kirk should be number one out of that list.
Yep,
for sure. For sure.
Who do we want as our number two? I would lean Curtis Samuel. Ooh. I think that the pass rush is going to get to Carson Wentz enough that it's going to be a lot of work out of the backfield. And I don't think it's going to be Antonio Gibson back there occupying a ton of targets, or really maybe even it might be McKissick, but I think Curtis Samuel is going to see a ton of, I don't want to call it gadgety work, but I think it's going to be a ton of quick release work that's going to get him plenty of touches. Personally, my 2 cents.
I disagree. I'm going with Josh Palmer. He's seen 19 targets the 2 weeks with Keenan Allen out. He's playing a Texans defense that is horrendous, and he's a big play machine.
Do they have time to get big plays? That's my question.
They got to throw it to somebody, right?
No. Will they have time to throw it to someone deep?
They have. Is it
no Rashawn Slater,
Storm Norton,
and Trey Pipkins at right tackle, and you have Jonathan Grenard and a revamped Jerry Hughes. The pressure, and when you look at that, less than 2.5 seconds to release, Josh Palmer just screams. Him and Mike Williams both scare me, and that's my only concern. But I get what you're saying with the target volume without.
Because I think that Washington's going to have the same issue with the Dallas pass rush, where they're going to be.
Which is why I said ADOT to Curtis Samuel right at the line of scrimmage.
But it's standard, right? I mean, standard 7 catches for 50 yards isn't going to help you.
You know what? I stand corrected. That's a great point. I didn't overlook it because I remember seeing it. Ryan, I apologize. We're turning you in circles here and getting nowhere. You got to go for it's just yardage and touchdown. So interesting.
So it'd be Palmer or Ayuk for me, but I would lean Palmer with Allen out.
I think I'd lean Marquise Brown.
So what you're going to do is you're going to take a bottle of Gatorade and spin it and have pointing away from you be Kirk and Ayuk. No, I'm just,
Ayuk's the only one that I wouldn't even consider here. Ayuk.
You wouldn't.
I would not.
I would. I think that's the only receiving option that Garoppolo is going to be going to consistently. I
am leaning Ayuk as well now. I like the fact that I see more of the matchup circling Debo and leaving more depleted secondary work against Ayuk. Right. Damn it. That is very
so there you go, Ryan.
I'll co-sign Ayuk. That's 3. And we all agree on Kirk, so there's a majority.
All right. There you go. Kirk, Ayuk, as close to unanimous as we can get. All right, cool.
And yes, you should laugh. That was
yeah, I mean at that point it's kind of who can you live with like beating you, you know?
Yeah. Luckily none of those are like the questions where you have a legit like superstar in such a bad matchup that you're even contemplating the FOMO play. I hate those quite a bit. So going back to some of the games, and obviously if you're listening, you have questions, chime in. We'd rather talk start and sits than matchup potentials anyway. And we have yet to quickly get through. So why start this week with getting through every matchup? Nothing else on the Cleveland Atlanta side. The only other question I would have would be, I guess, as far as IDP plays that might be under the radar, Jorge, Richie Grant could be a sneaky good play in the at safety, simply because he should be in the box a little bit more. We know that Cleveland's going to be run heavy. I mean, if you're considering from an IDP start sit, maybe Richie Grant.
His tackle production has been fantastic, starting from week 1 with 10, and then we got 6, and then he had 7 last week with 2 PDs and an interception. I mean, if you're playing with Fantasy Pros IDP scoring, I mean, he's gotten you 12, 7, 18 points the past 3 weeks. Yeah, I could totally, especially with the box snaps that you're talking about. Absolutely is somebody that you could play that's under the radar.
Hey, and welcome in, Dave. Dave, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, fellas?
We were just talking about T. Higgins, and we're talking.
I was looking for it. I was waiting for it.
Dave Higgins, how's it going, man?
The next question.
That is always one. The best thing about putting yourself out there is that when you're right, nobody will bring it up, but when you're wrong, you're the headline.
Crucified.
But you know what? Hey, it is what it is, and I have T. Higgins in a lot of spots, so I'm happy at your misery. Less, he's just.
I was watching the game, going, "Oh, I'm going to get murdered."
That one, the first catch when he kind of did that little
That was
slide,
nasty.
I was like, "Ooh, that little hip wiggle just cost Dave about 15 minutes of airtime."
That's why I was so late today. I was out mentally preparing myself.
Well, here we'll get into we wrapping up the Cleveland Atlanta conversation. We're gonna go to Washington, Dallas, a battle of the NFC East. Washington coming in at 1-2, Dallas at 2-1. Dave, put you on the spot right here. Will Dallas go to 3-1, or will Washington go to 500 at 2-2?
I'm not buying the Cooper Rush hype. Is he doing a bad job? No. Is he doing a great job? Absolutely not. I think it's offensive to put him in the category that he's, competing with Dak at quarterback.
Yeah.
He won. I mean, he beat some mediocre teams. It wasn't an ass kicking. I'm not buying it. Look, I think it's going to be a close game. Whoever wins, I don't know, but I don't think it's going to be lopsided in the favor of the Cowboys.
That's fair. Jorge, are you feeling? How are you feeling about the old Commanders?
Well, going back to the question that was asked earlier regarding whether you want to start Curtis Samuel, I think the same rationale from last week applies to this week. You have a pass rush that has been playing pretty well for Dallas. Just like last week, you had a pass rush that was playing pretty well for Philadelphia. Carson Wentz is going to need to get the ball out quickly. Enter Curtis Samuel. So that's kind of what I see happening this week. Now, some people want to use the narrative that around town, in the nation's capital, all these beat reporters and all these analysts on the radio are just saying, "Oh, you got to get Terry McLaurin the ball. You got to feed him the ball. They're not feeding him the ball enough." I don't really like to base a lot of my takes on comments like that, but it's true. You have to get the ball to him. The only problem is that the secondary is playing pretty well also. And whether or not Carson Wentz will get enough time to load up and get the ball down there to Terry McLaurin is my concern. I see this being more of a Dotson, Curtis Samuel type of game. But again, it's not Dak Prescott. It's not this offense is not at 100%. But I do see Dallas coming away with a victory here, unfortunately, because I'm the Commanders fan and my wife upstairs is the Cowboys fan, and that is where we will be staying for the rest of the evening for the day today. So,
what are you guys doing with Zeke? He sits on my bench. I don't know whether to play him. I mean, last week he was serviceable, right? He got 60 yards and a touchdown. You're not mad at that, but you're not happy.
He's my RB15 actually on the week.
Okay.
I think usage is going to be there for Washington. Who I'm really excited about though is Tony Pollard, just because the coverage, the linebackers in coverage who would beat Jamin Davis this week, not as strong suit playing in coverage, and I think they just get the ball out to Tony Pollard a lot, trying to take that pressure off of the offensive line, and then once that gets going in that direction, and then they'll hit him with Zeke up the middle, and It'll be like a 1-2 punch with this Dallas rushing attack.
He's the goal line back, though, right? I mean, you're not seeing Pollard getting the carries?
Let me pull up the stats on the season to get you a good answer. 1 second.
We were joking earlier about doing our rankings. Nate and I always said, you know what? I should do my rankings. I should just do it with everything that I believe about Zeke and that Dallas backfield. And then when I'm done, I should just take Zeke and Pollard and flip them.
Exactly.
So Dave,
go ahead, Jorge.
Dave, to answer your question, when in scoring position, Zeke has more rushing attempts within the 5, but that's just by 1.
Right.
So it's kind of split down the middle there when you're looking at it.
30 to 23 the last 2 weeks too for their rush attempts, and obviously we know Pollard's more involved in the passing game. He's my favorite play for DFS from this game at 6,000.
Yeah, it's separated a little bit as far as overall usage, or at least snaps on the field too, and that Pollard has went down, but they've been just as productive touches in that he saw 38 to 40, almost 50-50 snap share in week 1, all the way down to 28 to 41 in week 3. We're seeing a similar situation with Washington in Antonio Gibson usage. It's went from 49 snaps to 40 to 34 this past week. Now, granted, it's more important about the percentage of the snaps, but that has consistently went down as well. We talked earlier about Brian Robinson getting back into the fold. Are we worried about Antonio Gibson, Tyler, as far as the rest of the season? Is this the beginning of the end? Is this Ron Rivera slowly going back to, I don't want Antonio Gibson even necessarily occupying too many touches?
Yes. I mean, Brian Robinson won that job in the preseason.
Brian Robinson is back at practice going almost full speed. So
what?
If he's on your waiver wire, you should be getting him now and putting him in
Told them
your
already.
spot.
I picked him up in 3 leagues this week. All over it.
He is practicing. He is going close to full speed. He'll be back within a month, I guarantee.
Even a bullet can't stop that dude. So
bullet in the ass can't stop that dude. Exactly.
Is that really where he got shot?
That's where he got shot. Yeah,
I guess that's the most padding, probably. So
I guess worst. Best case scenario of a worst case situation. Yeah,
man. Yeah. Forrest Gump was good after it.
You get a lot of ice cream.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a question for y'all.
Go ahead.
To your point about picking up Brian Robinson everywhere, would you drop Jeff Wilson Jr. for Brian Robinson?
No.
All right, I didn't think so, but throw
That's
it out.
fair. Hey, you never know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these leagues where it's deep rosters and you have no choice and you can't drop anybody else, that's a type of question that has to come up. I mean, those are the real
I would
questions.
love to have both, to put it that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always
where are you guys at on Jeff Wilson? Nate, where do you have him on the week?
On the week, I have Jeff Wilson at 24, bottom RB2. That's probably higher than I like. I see a few below him. Like, I want to move Rashad Penny ahead of him, but I'm close. I want to move, Breece Hall above him, but the Zach Wilson factor. There's a few. I'm intrigued by that spot there. I have Antonio Gibson like way too high this week, but I feel like it's the last week, and it's going to be, how narratives work out sometimes where the player that is not going to do well going forward has that blow up. I'm hoping this is the blow, except I don't have Gibson in a ton of places. I'm hoping this is the, 18 carries for 85 yards and like 6 catches for 6 is too much because it will be involved, but you get the idea. And I could flip them and get something good in return for next week when he puts up 35 yards and Brian Robinson takes over.
Yeah.
It's a terrible reason to rank a person higher because you think some kind of goofy gut feeling is going to play, because Dallas should be all over Carson Wentz.
Fantasy over exact science. You have to trust your gut sometimes.
I got a big gut too, so it should be really trustworthy. Like a brain. Jorge, you like this wrestling analogy that someone posted. I know you're the wrestling aficionado, but Stone Cold Steve Austin was told he had a beer belly.
He's got a beer belly. It's a fuel tank full of whoop ass. Yeah, that's what it is.
See, look at that. One random thing, and he knew exactly what I was talking about. But
I know my pro wrestling. What can I say?
And the wrestling fans have grown, Nate. I'm also a wrestling nerd, so
I'm not. Hey guys, I'm not knocking anybody.
No, I'm just letting you know. Like I go to pay-per-views, live events. I got
Oh.
belts in my room. You name it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I got my winged eagles. Hold on. Break this
Oh.
bad boy out.
Oh God. Look, it's not even that far away. It's his wrestling
My
belts are
newest one right
closer
here.
than anything else.
The Hulk Hogan winged
The
eagle
Hogan?
belt, right? Yep. My newest one.
Wow. And from you're
You
our
want me to go get the
champion.
big gold belt? No,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should get the Ric Flair belt. You're in, yeah.
All right, I'll be back.
Yeah.
That's an easy way. Tyler had to get run. Tyler is on cleanup duty from the storm. His family's away, and he's going to take care of everything like a good husband would do. So, Tyler, good luck with everything, my friend. I'm glad that you're safe and everything is okay. Speaking of that, if anybody listening has a chance to go out and do something good, go to my page over at Twitter at Nate Markham, or if you're on Facebook, look me up at Nate Markham. I don't think it's but you get the idea. A friend of the family, our family, Faith Evans, or Enos, had lost her home to Hurricane Ian. And Britt and Josh had started a GoFundMe account to help, recoup some of the losses. Her renter, to make matters worse, her renter's insurance is not covering the damage because it was
Oh, you're kidding.
water damage, not hurricane wind, etc. And so she's stuck in a pretty tough spot. And we're gonna, band together as a family, fantasy community family, like we always do, and help her out in this tough time. But yeah, so check that out, Faith. If you happen a chance to listen, we love you and we hope the best for you and for everybody affected by this. On cue, Keith shows up with a wrestling belt, which is up, by the way, for this next question. Whoever gets this right gets Keith's belt.
Not the Flair belt. I'll give you one of my winged eagles.
That would be awesome. Yeah. As far as the Washington-Dallas games go, here's an over-under. Is Carson Wentz sacked over or under 5.5 times?
Whoa.
See, I was thinking 5, and now you got me screwing around with the 5.5.
That's a big number.
I know.
Kind of odds you give me if I take the over. What kind of juice am I getting?
I mean, the over should be like, it'd probably be like a plus 220, plus 240.
In which case, yes, I'll take the over. Otherwise, no, you got to take the under.
Yeah, you have to take the under there.
That's disrespectful of me.
Just saying, man, that Dallas pass rush is nasty.
That's
it
Joe
might
Burrow.
not do a ton of other things right, but they get after it. And I think, it is probably mean. I don't mean to be mean, Commanders fans or Commanders offensive line, if you're listening. but if you are, get your ass back to practice and learn how to protect old Carson Wentz.
And for those
Anything
looking
else?
for an IDP upside play, check out Nate's article over at Fantasy and Frames. Very first player he has listed is a member of the Dallas Cowboys defensive line that I think you'd be pleasantly surprised with seeing his name, as well as inserting him into your lineup if you need a deep play at defensive line.
Teaser. I like it. Don't even tell anybody who it is. Make them go check it out.
Go to the website. That's what
Damn
we do
right.
the work for.
We need the clicks. Go check it out, Dave. I know you're dying to know who that is. And really, so all right, I got one person on Dallas that I have no clue what to even think of, and that's Noah Brown. We know CeeDee Lamb's going to get his. Gallup coming back is huge to this. Noah Brown is getting way too. Oh boy, he's happy.
Forgot about Jorge's obsession with Gallup.
Oh yeah, he's going to reach over here and grab his Michael Gallup fat head here in a couple seconds to go. Exactly.
Sorry, yeah. No, I'll leave that over there. It's fine where it's at. Yeah.
Do people still use fat heads? Is that because that was popular?
They do, and I was getting some movie posters to redecorate my basement, and I saw that they have fat head versions of movie posters nowadays. And I'm like, oh well, this could save some holes on the wall for me, banging holes on the wall. But yes, they still exist. To answer your question.
Okay, thank you very much. So yeah, Noah Brown, 20% target share on the season. We know a lot of that's inflated over the last couple weeks, but Michael Gallup coming in. Is Noah Brown an afterthought now?
I think so. And don't forget, Dalton Schultz is supposed to be back too. So that's another mouth to feed. I don't have Noah Brown anyway, but yeah, if you had him for a couple weeks, good on you, but it's time to let him go, in my opinion.
Gotcha. And we talked a little bit about the defensive side of the ball with the rush and everybody from Dallas as far as pass rushers have a play. We'll jump on to the Seattle-Detroit game, which should be just the most exciting game of the week. Everybody I know is just chomping at the bit to talk about it. Dave, you still there? I know visually you're not audibly. That's okay.
Yeah, can't say that he is.
Can't say, but that's okay. We'll come back. We'll circle the wagon.
They canceled Dave.
The T. Higgins fans were
too much
out and about. They're like, screw that guy. So Keith, I'll start with you. Name 2 starting offensive fantasy relevant players on the Detroit Lions
for today.
Not named Jamal Williams.
Well, TJ Hawkinson for sure.
Okay.
For DFS, I really like him. And outside of that, you got to scrape the barrel. Reynolds would be, I guess, if I'm forced to play another Lion, he would be the guy. But I mean, the answer is Williams and Hawkinson. But just if you're in DFS, Williams is projected to be the number 1 owned running back. If you are not in a small, friendly league or, very small entries, do not play him. Play Kareem Hunt. Play Herbert. There's other options. It's never good to go with chalk, especially when it's not a guarantee he's going to go crazy.
Right. Jorge, I know you might have another name to add to the list. If I've gathered, what do you think? Craig Reynolds? Do you really think?
Look, I picked him up in one of my leagues. Am I starting him this week? No, but look, he has played well when given the opportunity. I mean, I'm not going to say start him over Jamal Williams, but with how badly running backs are getting dinged up nowadays, I would, if I had space on my bench, I'd put him there. I put him there because you never know what could happen. And when he's been given the opportunity in Detroit, he has played very well. And I emphasize Detroit because that's where he's been for the past 4 seasons.
Swift
or so.
and St. Brown is 14 targets a game missing. So that ball's got to go somewhere, and they can't all go to Hawkinson.
If they can muster up 14 targets in a game where if you cannot move in the chains, you have a hard time actually.
I actually think that both defenses are so bad that they're still going to be able to move the ball on both sides of it. Believe it or not. I like Geno for DFS a lot, today, and I still think Detroit is going to be they're a frisky team. I expect, like I said, I like Williams a lot, and I think they're going to find a way. Golf has been playing really good since they made the change halfway through last year with the play caller.
We'll see how this works. Hey, Les, we got a question from Johnny T for you. He's saying, great stuff as always, gentlemen. He wants to know Brandon Cooks or Brandon Ayuk in full point PPR.
Johnny, this is a great question. I've been researching this ever since it popped up on the screen. That's how great of a question this is. And I initially said Brandon Cooks because of the target share. And keep in mind, I'm still 50-50 on this. I'm leaning Ayuk just because of his connection with Garoppolo. Over the last 2 games, he's had 8 targets. Last week, he had 40 and a touchdown. Brandon Cooks is getting the targets too. They're just not connecting. So I'd go Ayuk, slightly Ayuk.
Jorge, on the defensive side, J.C. Jackson, good to go for the Chargers.
Okay.
I think that has any impact, or they're moving Brandon Cooks around that offense. Does that impact whatsoever in your decision? Or what is your decision? Are you Cooks or are you leaning Ayuk?
I'm with Les. I think Ayuk is just the guy with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. This is more indicative. This question or this answer is more indicative of the confidence I have in the chemistry with Garoppolo with Ayuk versus Davis and Brandon Cooks, regardless of who are the defensive players in the mix here.
Yeah, and to add to that, just the eye test. Ayuk's got that game-breaking potential to bust a play or whatever, and Cooks is more of a possession receiver in this offense right now. To Chris's question, hey, what's up, Chris? To answer your question, are we getting that W today? I took the 5-point I got the Chargers. I took the -5 on the Chargers, man. I think they're going to beat us up pretty bad. So there's your answer to that.
So it's funny.
No.
Can I give just a little information in Cook's defense?
Sure.
Go for it.
Please.
So he was number 1 on PFF's air yards by low model. The week before it was Devontae Smith. They have been very, very good plays. And like I said, Cooks was number 1 on that list. He's getting 28% target share. I actually do like Cooks more than Ayuk.
I mean, hey, if it was Ayuk not seeing 8 targets per week over the last 2, really his target share with Jimmy G has been, over 30%. Right. So Ayuk has been, because this is a full point PPR situation. Going into last year, the second half of last year, when Ayuk started to really come on, it was more of the touchdown dependent and big play more so than the heavy target volume. But yeah, we're starting to see that. So what do you got up next, Jorge?
So we got a question here from Jose Vega asking, Hurt McCaffrey or J-Rob full point PPR?
You gotta go McCaffrey. PPR, right?
I know, man. It's tough. I say it's tough for me because I'm a big J-Rob proponent, and he's kind of like teetering. He's teetering on the line of like, I don't care the scoring format. I just want to roll with J-Rob because I have confidence in him. You look at the splits between him and Travis Etienne. Etienne has 10 targets on the season. Robinson has 7. And so it's not like, Etienne is just carrying the receiving game out of the backfield for Jacksonville. Right. So there is PPR upside for James Robinson is where I'm going with that. What I will say though, I guess you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go James Robinson just because I'm looking at the weather. I'm looking at the conditions in Philadelphia right now, and it is pouring. It is ugly. It is a screaming run the ball type of game. So whether it's the attempts or even a few passes out of the backfield, I'm going to go James Robinson this week. I don't trust McCaffrey. Everyone in the preseason is like, oh, you can't use his injury history as a basis for predicting his fantasy relevance this year. I will.
I did.
You could use it as a tiebreaker.
But once you drafted him, it's a different situation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think you got to play him because it's a full PPR. If it was a half or just a standard, I would totally co-sign the Robinson. But what does he average for his career? Like 5-6 targets a game as a running back? That's ridiculous.
The elephant in the room is the fact that it's start times. And when you have the Chargers and not Chargers, Arizona and Carolina starting at 4:00,
that's
Jackson.
Very good point.
Do you have a pivot if you go with CMC?
That's a very good point.
If he doesn't play, that's not named Deontay Foreman or Chuba Hubbard. Because you would have to, if you're looking at the later games, if you go with CMC and he doesn't play, the chances of either Ramondre or Damian Harris, Aaron Jones, none of those for New England, Green Bay, or even A.J. Dillon. Denver, Vegas, no. Kansas City, Tampa has the option. This is where if you're going to go CMC, this is where I would look at Jerick McKinnon. And I would explore if he's an available option. If he is, I would try to find a way to pick him up just because he has, I think, a decent floor with a potential, positive ceiling that you wouldn't get killed. You would always lose, though, because you're doing a pivot from CMC.
I want to change my answer, Nate, and I'll go with Jorge. Unless McCaffrey is ruled before the 1:00 games, he is 100% playing. I would go Robinson because that's a really great point. You don't want to be holding your, your
exactly. Yep, exactly, because it's cold and
exactly
it's humbling when it's cold, right, Dave?
Hey, don't bring me in this.
Like when you don't hit save,
Exactly. That's like it's like you have T. Higgins in one hand, Jamar Chase in the other.
T. Higgins.
Just ask him about hit and save on Mark Ingram, and you can get him back a little bit.
I did.
Oh, you did get it in?
He's in. I guess
okay.
It did an update or something on my side. Jorge looked. I got an update that Ingram got some points.
Well, I'm happy for you now because that was ridiculous.
Yeah, he's at 6.2, so he's getting the reception. So yeah, that's good. So I'm happy. Sorry, doesn't matter.
We got McBeard here on YouTube with a prop question.
Love it.
Brissett and Mariota both over. Well, Brissett over 211 or 212, whatever. And Mariota over 214 passing yards. It's a parlay, obviously. Keith, you taking the over on 211 for Brissett and 214 for Mariota today?
I can't really speak on Brissett. I'm telling you, the Falcons have not really faced a good run offense, and we've been given 5 yards of carry to some really bad backs. I expect Cleveland to be able to just pound it on us. So that one scares me. Mariota has gone over that number all 3 weeks. So I don't expect that to change. The great thing about this offense is, man, we get big chunk plays. I mean, it's just like almost every pass Mariota completes goes at least 10, 15 yards. So I think he'd definitely go over Brissett. I'd just be a little nervous about it.
Yeah. Les, what do you think, man?
To McBeard's point, 211 is disrespectful. I gotta give Jacoby 211 in the dome, especially to Keith's point. If Mariota's putting up numbers like that, I'd take the over on that.
Both of them, I'll take the over.
There you go.
There
All right,
you go.
McBeard. We'll take 10% of those winnings.
And none of the losses.
And exactly. All views and express not.
No, let's screw it. Add it to the Fantasy and Frames donation fund. We'll take that. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, with the Fantasy and Frames donation, well, shout out to the Four-Eyed Championships, and it's 3 weeks in.
Yep.
I would like to officially say that my initial vote for my charity of choice is going to change now, and it's going to go towards those affected by Hurricane Ian. So hopefully that is good luck and good juju, and I will carry that over. And if I'm not mistaken, Yeah.
You're winning your division.
I might be. I mean, I have a hard time believing I'm not.
I haven't won a game. If it
overall.
makes
I'm averaging about 330 a week. So,
I think I haven't broke 230 yet.
Okay, well, that's not good. So here's the question we got from Eric. Eric, welcome, my friend.
That's why I played DFS.
Well, here, then we'll let you have a chance to maybe save someone else's season, or at least week 4. Dave, we'll start with you though. Hey guys, let's get start 1.5 point PPR. Gabe Davis, Jerry Jeudy, Rashad Bateman. He knows the Buffalo-Baltimore game is supposed to have rain showers. Which way are you leaving? 0.5 point PPR.
I benched Gabe Davis for Chris Olave this morning.
It worked out well.
Good call there, buddy.
I haven't seen the.
He's already scored touchdowns.
Sure, yeah, touchdown. Yeah,
Nice. I'll take
And
that.
several other receptions.
But I'm just a little bit worried. One, he's still got that lingering injury. It is the rain, and Baltimore. Like, I know they have the potential to have a shootout, but look at what they did against the Patriots. That was a low, 17-14 game. So I'm not expecting shootouts every single time. I'm struggling a little bit. Isaiah McKenzie is also getting a lot of looks. I mean, I think he scored 2 out of the last 3 weeks at least. And last week, I want to say he got 7 or 8 targets. So I'm a little bit down on Gabe Davis, unfortunately, because I was hyping him up in the preseason. Jeudy and Bateman, I like Bateman. He's safe. If you're looking for a safe play, I go Bateman. Jeudy can, blow the top off a defense like we saw in week 1. He was doing nothing and then all of a sudden scored a 70-something yard touchdown. But you're really relying on big chunk plays.
Yeah, blown coverage on that game too.
Yeah.
What say anybody else? Any?
Yeah, I'll go Bateman.
Bateman? Les?
I'm looking out the window right now from Arlington, Virginia. I got to go, and off of that alone, I'm going Jerry Jeudy. Well, not alone. Broncos are playing the Raiders, who have one of the league's worst defenses. Jeudy was hurt week 2 and 3, but week 1 he balled out. So, like I said, because of that weather, all things considered, I'd probably rank Jeudy last. But given the weather, He'd be my flyer this week.
Keith, you want to be a tiebreaker?
I really don't, because I'm going to end up saying somebody different than everybody else. So I'm gonna sit that out.
Sounds like a Gabe Davis answer
It
for
is.
Keith, and that's okay. That's Jorge. Get your 2 cents, man.
No, I'm rolling Bateman. I think. I'm not as. I'm rolling Bateman.
My rankings have Bateman higher than everybody else, and if that's any indicator, if I trust enough to say he's higher, I shouldn't change it now. I will tell you, ironically, everybody that is on that list, it's like separated by about 6 spots, clumping of all of them. So hopefully that means they're all good options, or at least wide receiver 2 options.
That's again another just loaded team. Great draft.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the definite thing to pay attention to. All right. So we were talking about Seattle and Detroit earlier, or recently. We mentioned that there's not too many people on the Detroit Lions offense that were excited outside of Jamal Williams. Realistically, TJ Hawkinson we're quasi excited for. We think that the targets should funnel both his way more than anything.
I beg to differ. I'm playing Reynolds in a couple of leagues.
Which Reynolds?
Josh Reynolds.
We talked about him.
Yep.
You said the Lions game, right?
Yeah. Well, it's Craig Reynolds as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, Josh Reynolds is a receiver. I'm excited about.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's a good option. Don't discount him. I mean, him and Goff have a good history as well.
They do.
Los Angeles, yeah.
I was going to say
that.
They did. That's actually one of the things that I've seen. It's good to have narrative and comfortability is the right word.
Especially when you ain't got very many options.
That is exactly
and
right.
they do have a great offensive line, which is, again, the reason why I think Detroit has a chance to move the ball today still.
So what I'm hearing is Dave is saying he is going to be this Sunday's T. Higgins of the plays and should lead the team. Will lead the team in receptions.
I'll go 50 yards and a touchdown for Josh Reynolds.
Okay.
Look Josh Reynolds this week. He's the goal at the club. It's 1:30 a.m. At the end of the day, there's not many options, but you still got to score, right? You still got to score. Josh Reynolds is the 1:30 a.m. goal. I'll take it.
I was going to say you really wanted a donut. It's like the last one, and they're not making any more, but you're
Josh Reynolds is the 1:30 a.m.
Still got to score, man. 1:30 a.m. I'm calling the Uber. We're heading back to my place. Me and Josh Reynolds.
It's a walk-off right there.
Yeah. Speaking of cream-filled, the defense.
Come on.
Donuts, you said. Cream-filled donuts. That's the last one that's going to be left because no one likes them. I don't like them, at least.
Man. Can we go to DK Metcalf?
I didn't get to slip this question in on the Bateman question. Full PPR, I got Melvin Gordon or Rashad Bateman.
Man,
I'm taking Gordon. He looked good last week, against the Niners. I mean, he was in the passing game. He's the goal line back. I mean, I like Melvin Gordon. I mean, I think Javonte Williams is decent, but they're in a full-on 50-50 split. He's getting at least 3 or 4 drives a game. And he's efficient too. I mean, he's not, is he Melvin Gordon of 2018? No, but he's still getting 4 yards a carry? I mean, dude's running well.
That's the kind of situation to me where I look at the matchup, and if I think I just need points, to where you don't crap the bed, I would definitely do Gordon. But if you think it's a matchup where you're predicted to lose and you need a bigger performance, I would roll the dice with Bateman. Even with the weather and everything else.
Good call.
It really is. Because, I mean, you have a median score of Melvin Gordon on a weekly basis of right around like 7.5 points in standard. That's a different person with the standard, but in half point, even it still goes up to, maybe 9 to 10. So, I mean, you're right. And that's another good thing that so many people, I think we as even quote unquote analysts or whatever, that talk about strategy, that you just forget sometimes that you're looking for ceiling or floor plays. And sometimes it's better to take the floor, no matter what anybody says, because most people are quick to argue, like always go for the ceiling. I don't know if that's always true.
I completely disagree.
I think there's times when you just go safe. So, all right, what Johnny got to ask? Jorge?
He's got needs to fill a wide receiver with St. Brown out, half PPR, Dubs, Mckenzie, Hollins, or Reynolds. Ooh, indeed.
I mean, after that, Reynolds
Romeo
soliloquy that I just heard, sign me up for Reynolds.
Nice. Look at that, Dave.
You converted.
You guys are jumping on Team Reynolds.
Yeah, I'd go in order: Reynolds, Dubs, Mckenzie, Hollins.
Les?
Sorry, I was on mute. It's a tough one here. I'm gonna pass on this one. But seriously, oof.
I know.
I like Hollins. It looks like Renfro is out. I like Hollins.
He is.
He's been looking good the last 2 games, and if it's not broke, don't fix it.
I was watching some game breakdown, and what's his name? Derek Carr was getting a lot of flack for not targeting Devontae Adams.
Oh, it's going to be
I think
I'm
he's
with
going to
you.
get peppered today.
There's going to be flashing signs on the sidelines going, give the ball to Devontae.
Yeah, I don't know why he was not. Yeah, I can see this being the Devontae show today. So, look, is Hollins talented? Absolutely. Is he going to blow up for another 150-something yard performance? I don't know.
I will say he might have the highest floor out of those 4, though.
Good point.
Man.
We have Randy Miller here saying Twitter is
Yeah.
a social media platform. Is there a question that you're asking us on Twitter? You let us know the Twitter handle.
He just likes Twitter.
Or you just
Shout
like
out
Twitter.
to Twitter.
We have a lot of social media channels. We have every single podcast we have here has its own Twitter handle, as well as the Fantasy and Frames Twitter handle, as well as our own individual Twitter handles that I will put on screen right now.
Oh, very good.
After I take down your comment. There we go. Boom, there we go. Nice.
As we say that, I will go ahead and I'm going to move up Mac Hollins in the rankings because the Renfro news did break. And I'm going to, you know what? Hey, I'm going to move Josh Reynolds up 2 or 3 spots too. What do you think of that, Dave? You are you're like an influencer. You're like an Instagram influencer right now. You're Kendall Jenner.
Drop T. Higgins. Drop T. Higgins all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
Reynolds is my wide receiver 34. Is that disrespectful, Dave, or is that okay?
That's where he should. It's where he should be, I think. I mean, he's going to get the targets. I'm not. Is DJ Chark playing today?
No, Chark's
Yeah,
out.
He's out.
He's going to get the targets. Where's it going? I mean, Hawkinson has been a letdown at best. What's he getting? 3-4 targets a game?
No, actually, he's averaging 7 targets a game.
Okay, that defeats my point.
Sorry, I did a lot of research on him for DFS this week.
But I mean, Goff likes to throw the ball. He's one of the few, pocket passers, if you want to call him that. He's not a run-first guy. So I can see, 40 to 50 pass attempts. At least 7 or 8 of them are going to go Reynolds' way.
14 targets are missing if they pass about as many times as they have in previous games.
Yeah.
Just in Swift and Brown.
Nice. We've Jorge, you said you want to talk about DK Metcalf versus Jeffrey Okudah.
Hold on. We'll get to that in a second. Randy Miller says the question on Twitter was, would you guys have played CEH over Ingram?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Man, here's the thing. I
would have, and I understand that the usage for CEH is not high in terms of rushing attempts. I get it, but he's producing.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's what is he? The number 4, 5 running back on the season?
It was 5 going into last week. I don't know what he is this week.
Yeah.
4.
Well,
4. I mean,
4. I think he's tied with Cordell for 4th or something like that.
Yeah. That's again, I 100% don't believe that, CEH will finish as a RB1 and the season's over. But I hope he does. I mean, clearly
Let me ask you
his
this.
interest.
We've got Latavius Murray in the backfield for the Saints right now. So
yeah, that's like
I would have been wrong, dead wrong, by saying yes, I would start Ingram over.
Well, Latavius Murray's got, I think that's probably his 3rd or 4th rushing attempt. He had some in the first half as well.
right.
Let me ask this. CH goes down. Are you picking up Pacheco or
McKinnon's the guy I want.
McKinnon? Really?
I already have.
Well, I mean,
I already
what
have
he did
McKinnon.
last year, I just think I'm shocked they don't use him more. To be honest, I think their offense is at the best when he's their back.
It's they utilize him in ways that definitely accentuate him as a dual threat back. They utilize him better out of the backfield, and he seems to be more explosive with that. And sometimes that's it's one of the good things about Andy Reid. He sets up players to be explosive at times, and that's where CEH has failed. Is that he's
I heard
been,
this. Sorry, Nate, because you're a
you're
big Chiefs fan. Edwards-Helaire, would he be better off as just like the pass catching third down back, and they swap the roles, or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's hard to say. I don't know why, because he proved at LSU he was a
Right.
good pass catching back.
Well, that's
And
what I
he-
was saying. He seems to be the most effective in that, right? Like that's where he
Yeah.
does a lot of his damage.
He does more damage this year when it's predicated by progression pass scripts, and Mahomes is reading through, and then everybody subsequently, when you go through 3 progressions per attempt,
Right.
the linebacking core steps back, and the safeties come off ball just even more, and that opens up gaps
Just
for
dump it off
CH,
to him. Yeah.
which doesn't take much to work about. So go ahead, Jorge. DK Metcalf.
So I have DK as my featured start of the week at wide receiver. And I know people are going to say, well, Jeff Okudah has been playing well. He's been playing well. Jeff Okudah has been playing well because Tracy Walker has been over the top helping him with double teams. Tracy Walker is not there anymore. Juju Hughes, I believe, is his replacement now. In terms of his placement on the field, he's been playing comparably the same amount of snaps in the box as Tracy Walker had up through last week, but he's playing fewer snaps in coverage. So I don't think you're going to see that help, so to speak, roll towards Jeff Okudah and trying to double team DK Metcalf. And if it's one-on-one DK Metcalf and Okudah, I'm taking Metcalf all day.
I have a question for you guys. Garrett Wilson in full point PPR or DJ Moore?
Garrett Wilson.
Ooh, yeah. I'm very down on DJ Moore, as I have been.
And I defended DJ Moore earlier, but for Garrett Wilson and his upside and the way he's looked, I would have to go with Wilson.
I'm disappointed in Baker Mayfield. I actually was one of the few people who had high hopes for him heading into Carolina, but he has not performed. I think he's a big part of the reason DJ Moore is not, having any success.
Carolina's OBJ.
Yeah.
So, all right, that was for me specifically. I hate to even.
Random question: OBJ, why has no one picked him up?
I think he's healthy.
He's still not cleared yet. I was listening to a pod last week where he was at the Rams game, but he's been on Twitter like trying to join. Was it the Chiefs?
Trying to join anyone.
He did.
I still think he's going to go to the Rams eventually, but I don't think he's cleared yet, like to where he could play. I still think he's about a month away.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that for Antonio Brown as well, but I saw that video yesterday. And
wait a minute, what did I miss?
Oh, him dry hump, not dry. Yeah,
at the pool,
assaulting a woman naked.
Just Google Antonio Brown. You'll see it.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave,
it's not on my work phone.
Yeah, don't do it on your work phone. That's for sure.
What you got, Les?
Yeah, Les, what's up?
Yeah, I said, Dave, did you click the link?
Yeah, I did actually. I watched it. I did. It was kind of disturbing, to be honest. But anyway,
it was Jorge. You're on mute.
Jorge, you're on mute.
What Jorge was saying is, I watched it 10 times over.
That is not what I said.
In-depth analysis here of fantasy frames.
Exactly.
Emphasis on fantasy. No, I'm just kidding.
I saw the still shot and kept it moving to the next story, man. I'll be honest.
Little does Les know, his new avatar is that blurred out vision.
Somebody has it by now, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I don't have a
Why
good segue.
Why got to be blurred out, man? Why got to be blurred out?
Okay, we keep it family friendly. Come on. We already had the
went off that rails ages ago
comment
with Josh Reynolds.
I like donuts. You know what else I like? I like Tyler Lockett with 22 targets over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, he's looked really good.
Did you see the stat on the Lions slot man that Joe gave on the pod this week? He's ranked 98th, their slot corner. 98th. Think about it. 3 corners on each team. That's real bad. Lockett's going to have a big game. He's my favorite DFS play, probably all week.
Perfect. I had Lockett in my top 30. I'm going to move him into I'm going to move him right even with Rashad Bateman at 22. Thank you, Keith. That is
Thank
good to
Joe.
know.
He actually did the stat.
Well, Joe, then you're at fault. If something happens, if Lockett has a bad game and my rankings suck, then I'm coming after you. But so far, wide receiver's been I'm better at wide receiver than I am IDP on Fantasy Pros, basically. So,
excuse you. You're number 6 overall on the season.
Yeah, but when you have those kind of expectations, it's like the Atlanta Braves, the only team in Atlanta that wins. I'm just kidding.
Exactly. And then when they end up facing with the Cardinals in the postseason, and Wainwright in his final farewell season says farewell to.
Is he really still playing?
Wainwright?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I really don't watch baseball. I'm being serious.
Yeah, he had a really. He's
Pujols and Wainwright are back with the Cardinals. That's crazy.
Yeah. Wainwright's never left. Wainwright's still with the Cardinals. Yes. Oh, Ken says he doesn't want to hear about the Braves, but we can. How about we talk about Marcell Ozuna and the Braves so we can double dip on Gross. And for people listening, Marcell Ozuna is a horrible individual.
Oh my God.
And terrible.
Andy Dalton almost ran the ball in for a touchdown. That would have made me throw up. So.
Okay, please let it go to Mark Ingram.
We need a Mark Ingram touchdown. Get Latavius Murray out of there.
Yeah, we do. That's what I'm rooting for. So let's do with that. Let's go to the next matchup. We're going to go to Tennessee and Indianapolis. Tennessee at 1-2, Indy at 1-1. Obviously, I think the best running back matchup of the day between Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry. Jonathan Taylor missed the first practice at his professional or even collegiate or high school career. Crazy. With a toe injury. That's pretty impressive, I would say. But we don't really have any questions.
He's done, guys. Drop him. Drop Jonathan Taylor.
Or just trade him to me.
Latavius Murray with the touchdown.
I hate everybody right now.
The world that we're living in where Latavius Murray is relevant.
On the practice squad until this morning. That was crazy.
Of course he is.
All those DFS lineups.
Still early.
I'm talking about the showdowns. I did like a bunch of captain lineups. That hurts.
And I had the Vikings defense too, so it's double kicking the nuts. You not your running back and give up 7.
And you got the ball on the 1. It's like that was like how I was counting on Ingram scoring.
Exactly. That's perfect. Kind of like if we don't need to talk about Tennessee or Indy's running game. I will say. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Indy is really good against the run. Nobody has averaged more than 3.0 yards per carry, and they faced some good backs. They faced Robinson, Travis. I don't say his last name because I always mispronounce it.
But it's a staple of the show now. You have to say it. It's great. In fact, we should just sign a petition to say that's how it should be pronounced going forward.
So it's Etienne is the way I say it.
That is a lie. You know how you say it and how you say
Etienne. Etienne. Is that closer?
It does sound French. Is it French? It's got to be right.
Know.
Travis.
But the running back, seriously, Pierce, Robinson, there's been some good ones. They are a legit run D. I think Tennessee's going to have trouble running the ball, and they're going to throw the ball really well. I like Treylon Burks a lot today with Tannehill as a stack in DFS if you're looking for something in bigger entries to not go so chalk.
I went Tannehill as a start for quarterbacks this week in my start sit column. I'm all aboard this week. The Tanner Thrill hype train. So
DeForest Buckner is active. That would be the only thing that I would have paid attention to as to why I would be remotely down on Derrick Henry is if he's active. And so since he is, I might move Henry down just a little bit. Him and Shaq Leonard both. Obviously that has an impact, which means Derrick Henry will probably pop off for like 220 and 2 scores. But that's big knowledge for IDP fans. If you play in a defensive tackle league, DeForest Buckner is kind of a must start week in and week out. He is healthy. As far as the rest of that game goes, I mean, we know that Treylon Burks hype week is upon us. I've seen it from 1,000 different people, everybody willing, this is Treylon Burks week. And
it's more about the Colts. They've given up 8 receptions of 24 yards or more, or 8 different receivers have had receptions of 24 yards or more. And I think Burks, that's what he is, right? He's supposed to be this big chunk play guy, and his snap count has gone up each week. And he's cheap. So that's why I'm really high on him this week for DFS.
Yeah, I wonder. So was last week's Robert Woods week just an aberration? Or
No, I'm not. I like Woods this week too. I like the Titans pass offense is what I'm saying in general. Burks is just a lot cheaper than Woods on DraftKings.
Gotcha. I'm intrigued to see how much they have to resort to that passing game, if at all. Les, tight end in Tennessee seems to be have a prereq. I mean, in Indy that you have to be at least 7 feet tall, I believe. Is there a chance that it just honestly bypasses tight end, or are they onto something within the 10 that you have a 6'7" tight end and a 6'6" tight end? You just go with that mismatch.
In terms of what? What's the question?
I mean, we're not really.
He's talking shit about Jelani Woods.
Yeah, Jelani Woods is not, or Mo Alley Cox, either one, really. I mean,
that's fair. He's like 6'5".
Yeah, huge guys. I don't believe that they're this actual tight end threat that people may want to start.
Like last week was an aberration.
Correct.
Yeah. Agree 100%.
Well, some people are fans of those guys, and
I think Woods for
Dynasty
is interesting.
Yeah, and he hasn't done much in terms of when he's on the field to dispel any of that. I mean, he's done exactly what you would want. Got in the end zone. Targets are targets, as minimal as best, but he's getting them.
And we know with tight ends, right? Like if you're not a top 5-6 tight end, it's really all about touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. If you're not scoring, you're done. Really, Tennessee, Indianapolis, as far as IDP goes, Jorge, we've touched on Leonard.
Yeah.
We talked about DeForest Buckner.
Yeah.
Tennessee has really no pass rush. Is this maybe David Long, Kevin Byard uptick week with the amount of rushing work we should see out of the Colts?
Let me see where I have Byard. I have Byard as my defensive back 18 currently.
Oh,
I think yes. I think he has a big week this week. In terms of David Long, man, no Zach Cunningham, I believe, this week. So by default.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You don't know, man. I have Kevin Byard in my top 5 this week.
Okay.
Intriguing. You guys ever do that? Let's say that you have a player real high up in your ranking or your overall thought, and then you talk to someone that you trust, and they're like, "Yeah, I got him like at 35," and you're like, "Shit, am I doing something wrong?" And you start to question it just a little bit. Do you ever change it, or do you stick to your gut and say, "Screw it, I'm going with it"?
Oh, absolutely. I did that. I saved my week last week, but I had everyone was saying sit Tom Brady, and I went with that over Trevor Lawrence. And I had Trevor Lawrence in right up until probably like 12:58 Eastern time, and I got cold feet and put Tom Brady in. Big mistake. I ended up winning the week anyway, but I switched a lot of times, often.
Oh man. News. Less breaking news. This is our Adam Schefter, by the way, in the chat, is that Zay Jones is out.
He's better than Adam Schefter.
Exactly. Well, that
a lot less annoying.
Thank you.
Christian Kirk moving up more spots now. I don't know how much more I can move him up, but he is. I have him even with Drake London now at 16, 17. Ooh.
I did not even have Zay Jones ranked in my rankings for this.
Oh, you didn't? I did.
Wow.
Zay Jones has been pretty good, actually. I mean, we talked about before the season that it was gonna, be 1 and 2 as far as Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, and I didn't know how close. I didn't think it was going to be 25% and 22% as far as target share, but Jones has went 9, 4, 11. It's big. That could be one of two things: either Christian Kirk to the moon, maybe Marvin Jones sees an uptick a little bit, but he's gotten, he's averaging 6 targets a week as well.
You guys ever seen the Zay Jones, how he gets up after catching a ball?
With
He's got this. So you just YouTube the Zay Jones levitate. He's got this weird way he pushes off the ground. It looks like he just.
Is he a wizard?
Check it out. Look up.
I'm about to look at it. That's why I'm asking you. You're the one. That
You'll see. He's got this weird way. I don't know. Must be a crazy core strength, but he's infamous for it. Anyway.
A fun fact.
I turn my volume down as I watch because I'm like a 4-year-old that if you tell them to do something, they immediately go in and they check it out.
It looks like he's going backwards.
Yeah, he just like levitates off the ground. It's pretty crazy, eh?
I believe HBK could do that though.
You talking about Shawn Michaels HBK? Is that
of course. Yeah.
Are we all YouTubing Zay? Are we all YouTubing Zay Jones right now?
Of course.
We are giving people exactly the content that they want on the show.
Yeah. This is normally where we would share the screen to show others, but instead of trying to do technology, we don't. So I will just move along.
Can we do that? Are we able to do that?
We can do that. Yeah, pull it up. Share the screen.
I turned it off already.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
Well,
we'll get back to it. We got a lot of games.
Let's go to New York and then Chicago. How about that? Let's go to that one.
Yeah, let's talk about two teams that are 2-1. One of the two teams, next week during this, I get to talk and say the 3-1 New York Giants are going to be playing whoever they're playing, and I won't feel good about it. I feel gross. If I had to say 3-1 Chicago Bears, I'll feel even grosser or more gross. Which team legitimately is closer to a 3-1 team, Jorge?
Give me the Giants. I was not a big Azeez Olari fan last season, but you saw the pressures of Thibodeau and him last week versus Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Thibodeau's first game, I believe, of the season. I saw it. I saw what they're trying to do. I saw the the presence that the Giants want to get to. What do they do when they were winning all those championships? They're building up front of the line and they're building backwards. Linebacking core is obviously suspect, which is why they have Julian Love creeping up, strong safety closer to the line of scrimmage to help out with that. Daniel Jones. Oh, here we go. Ken Sonnenberg, resident Giants fan. That's the correct answer, Jorge. Thank you. Saquon Barkley is where it comes down to. He is the RB1 for me this week.
Mm-hmm.
Until that changes, I don't see. He's just so good, man. That touchdown he had that running to break that tackle to get just on classic Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones. Look, we can all make fun of Daniel Jones all he wants, but he moves the sticks when the receivers can't get open. This guy can move. He can run. He can't do much for your fantasy team, but he can keep the chains moving, which gives guys like Saquon and, not Sterling Shepard anymore. So it's really the Barkley show and this defensive front for the Giants that I think are going to put them over the top this week.
And the immortal Richie James.
I was going to say that was what I was going to say. All right, put any receiver going to be above like a wide receiver 60 on the week from either team.
DFS, Richie James is absolutely a play at 4,000 because I think his floor is 7-8 points. And, if he scores a touchdown, great. I don't know about for rankings. I can't. Is
Richie James a 3X type potential guy though? That's a real thing, right? And 3X what you want to really cash out well.
I mean, to me, honestly, I try to save cash. So if I can get 8 to 10 points out of somebody that I'm only spending $4,000 on, giving me another 1,000, 2,000 to spend in other positions, I feel like I can make it up there. And if they go off, I have an even better chance of cashing big.
Hey, Richie James went for 180 yards and a touchdown, I think. I'm just going off memory. A year or two ago with Nick Mullins under center.
So he didn't play last year, so it probably was in 2020, and he did.
2020.
It was against the Packers. He had 9 catches on 13 targets, 184 and a touch.
There you go, something like that.
So,
exactly like that, actually.
There we go. and I mean,
I remember weird stats like that. I don't know why.
That's great because I don't, but luckily I have the interwebs, and I can just look it up and pretend that I knew it, or at least go there. Speaking with, I don't know how to say anything. Here's a question. Any thoughts on playing golf over Stafford this week?
Yeah,
I'm trying to read. We got too much going on. We need to not do these live streams when there's actually a football game and rankings and everything else. But
seriously, the monitors are going crazy right now. Yeah,
exactly. My ADD is not doing well.
Yeah, I didn't take my Adderall this morning, so this is going to be a fun show.
What do you guys think? Golf with, I'm going to say depleted weapons. Realistically, I know that it could be just a great matchup against Seattle. But
Goff has been serviceable, man. Like, let's show Goff some respect. Like,
I won't.
Thank you. That's what I was saying.
I'm not going to take anything away. What we haven't seen is Jared Goff without Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift. That is a true statement.
Well, he's played without one of them, not both.
That is fair. Fair.
I have Stafford as my sit, one of my sits at quarterback this week. So this is a tough one. This 49ers defense is no joke.
Don't they own the Rams too, historically?
Except for that. Yeah, as much as even though Stafford is my sit of the week, one guy has Cooper Kupp to throw to, the other one does not have his number one wide receiver. So if I had to go this matchup, I'd go Stafford over Goff.
He does have his number one wide receiver. It's Josh Reynolds.
Reynolds, that a boy.
Josh
Perfect timing. Love it.
That's why we bring Dave in.
That's right.
That is that right there. So on that note, see you later, Dave. Go ahead. No, but seriously, I mean this game is void of many, I'd say fantasy plays. I know that from a DFS standpoint, there's going to be a lot of cheap options like the Richie James. Khalil Herbert is definitely someone opposite Saquon who we're going to put in our lineups. I mean, there's scenarios where someone might have a start sit with Khalil Herbert.
What does this do to
Herbert
David
should
Montgomery?
be a must start this week.
I think so too.
Obviously, Herbert's going to go off today, but what are we doing with David Montgomery going forward? Are we going to see like a Broncos, Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams split backfield?
I think that's what's going to eventually happen. Herbert's really good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we were starting to see that already this season. Even without the injury, it was starting to creep that way a little bit. I mean, Khalil Herbert's only been out-snapped or out-attempted by 2. Now, granted, last week had a lot to do with that. That put him back up there. But the touchdowns are there for Herbert. Here's an option. Let's say this, because if you have Khalil Herbert and you went running back heavy early, if you have CMC, you have Najee and Khalil Herbert.
Khalil. Not even close.
Over which one? So you
both this week for sure.
Okay.
Herbert, he's got 39th in carries. He's top 10 in red zone touches, touchdowns, points per game, yards per touch, juke rate, breakaway run rate, and dominator rating. Dude is a stud, and this is a great matchup. The Giants' run D is trash. He is going to have a day. I said on the podcast, he's going to be owned by everybody. I don't care. You have to have him. He's 5,800, and I would start him in any league I had him. I don't care who my other backs were.
Dude, I love it when Keith talks stats. He brings it nonstop. You got to go to listen to the Daily Fix podcast over on Spotify or Apple or wherever it is you listen to podcasts. Him and Joe Matz just crank away awesome DFS information. He brings the knowledge, folks.
We're nerds.
No, hey, if you can put it into digestible form like you do, I think that everybody likes that reaffirmation. I mean, don't get me wrong. We can all pick and choose stats that help build our narrative, but those aren't stats that just build a narrative. Those are just overall, like not, I can look at a Detroit Lions team that's allowed 185 yards on the ground to teams out of the West Coast at night and, that type of scenario. Khalil Herbert or Jamal Williams?
Herbert.
Okay. Khalil Herbert or Leonard Fournette?
Herbert.
Herbert's going to be a top 5, possibly top 3 running back this week.
I would have him like number 3 this week. There's probably 2 backs I'd put ahead of him. I don't do the rankings though. Again, I'm not a season-long, expert.
These are week-to-week rankings.
Oh, for this week, he's third for
rankings are all week-to-week. So when you look at DFS, that parlays exclusively towards these rankings. I mean, they blend in perfect because I have a tough time. Like CMC is at 4 for me right now, and games lock at noon or 1 o'clock for some of you guys.
I reckon
And
it'll be Saquon, JT, and then Herbert. Top 3 running backs this week.
That would be my order too.
Yeah, I have. Let's see where I have Herbert.
I have Dalvin locked in, so I can't.
I have. I have Herbert at 9.
Okay, yeah. I like that. I do. I have him at 11.
I have some more stats. I'm going to send them to you, Nate, in Slack.
No, don't influence me. I like to do it myself. And good news is Carrie has Khalil Herbert in her Scott Fish League, so she's able to start him and do well. Let's see. What's the next game? Or do we? I mean, guys, are we done? Les, is there anybody? Go ahead. Oh, you stay. Go ahead.
Les, you got anything else to think for the Giants and Bears?
Is Les frozen? I think
he is frozen.
No, he's meditating.
He's standing very still.
Well, that's what I thought he was doing.
Let's not interrupt him.
I thought he was sleeping after his long night last night. But...
The McDonald's food coma is finally kicking in.
Exactly.
Let's go to the next game. We talked a little bit IDP. We talked a bit.
Real quick, Darnell Mooney. What are we doing with Darnell Mooney?
Nothing.
Just a drop? Wow.
I did, yeah. I was the biggest Mooney guy all summer. I was wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I'm cutting bait. I did.
He's my 53.
Damn.
53 seems high, but then again,
it's the fact
I agree.
I agree. Passing game, like none. Like, I mean, what are they going to do?
Yeah, I'm taking him off my rankings. I can't do it.
Oh, I had him higher than you. I had him 49.
And this week he's got a not a great matchup.
I can't do it. I can't have him in my rankings.
Hey guys, breaking news: Mark Ingram got a carry.
Hey,
yeah, it's been the Latavius Murray show for a good couple series here.
2 yards, guys.
I'll take
Olave is really good. By the way, this receiver class is really good again.
Yeah, he's been dynamic, and so Jacksonville, Philly. We know the Storms are going to be up there. We know that the game itself is, honestly, as far as prove-it type game, this is another prove-it game for Jacksonville. Something tells me that Jacksonville is going to have week after week of just prove-it weeks because everybody still doesn't buy in, even though they believe it. I think that it feels like they're going to have to keep doing it. Philly might be the best team in football right now. I know they're the only undefeated team.
It's gross.
But what about the team? Keith, you say no.
I'm just saying they remind me a lot of Buffalo last year. And again, Buffalo was really good, but everybody crowned them. And if you look at their schedule, they didn't really beat anybody. They beat up on soft teams. I'm just saying for Philly to be the best team to me, beat some good teams. Like beat some really good teams. And then I'm happy to say that. But until then, there's too many teams that have done stuff that still have their core. I'm not going to say you're the best team. I'm going to definitely say Buffalo, Kansas City. Those teams are better than you.
Buffalo, I don't have a problem putting them up there. I don't. I think that it's not fair to not give a team credit by a lack of schedule and something.
I'm not giving them credit. I'm just saying I'm not going to say they're the best team. That's one spot.
It is, and I don't know. You think Buffalo?
No. I was going to say, speaking of Buffalo, KC, I'm going to be in Kansas City for that game 2 weeks.
Yes,
come up. Let's do some tailgating.
I would if it wasn't an 8-hour trip to tailgate.
8-hour trip?
That's how far it is?
4 hours there and 4 hours back.
Okay.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, gotcha.
I mean, I don't have a problem.
I mean, if
I
you're
want
a
to
true friend, you would do it, but like whatever, you know.
If I could find a cheap flight,
a true friend would probably have got tickets for his good friend. That lives
exactly.
It's my buddy's. He's a banker. He got us these corporate suite tickets. I can't.
Taysom Hill for the touchdown.
Yeah. What?
Really?
I hate them.
They're
going to win this game too.
I had him as my tight end 20, so yay, expectations. That's good.
No, that is good. It's better than most, but no, and again, doesn't have to be best team or not. Ultimately, this would be one of the better games. We have 2-1 Jacksonville against a 3-0 Philly team, who I'm looking for some of the narratives we talked about already. We know we're all in on Christian Kirk. We know that Zay Jones is out. Evan Ingram will play this week for anybody.
I'm I'm staying away.
I've been waiting for Evan Ingram to become relevant since man invented fire. You know,
Since his rookie year, I've been waiting for him to become relevant.
I just, at some point, we got to give up, right? I think I'm officially done.
It makes.
He had the great rookie year, in fairness, and then since then you've been waiting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, he had a great week too. At least good week too in terms of 7 receptions for the whole 46 yards. But we saw the targets and the receptions, and we thought, okay, this is a sign of something to come, and it didn't. So I mean, it's Christian Kirk. James Robinson is personally, and I think this is a tough matchup. This is the one where Jorge, all right, you're the James Robinson fan, and Keith, I'm going to say you're the Travis Etienne fan. I mean, just anointed off of nothing.
I've been high on him all summer, so it's fair.
Are we still giving the nod to James Robinson, or do we think that potentially? I mean, is there here? I guess this is probably the better way to phrase this. In what scenario does Travis Etienne take over snaps in a game? Is there a scenario? Because
they get down. I think they get down.
Really? That's what the question, and that's what I'm concerned about.
If they were if weather wasn't a factor, yeah, I could see that. But I just see this game is going to get ugly. The field conditions are going to get ugly. Jacksonville is going to need to control the time of possession versus Philadelphia, who's going to be trying to run all over the place. I just think it's going to be a heavy James Robinson game. As the weather reports awesome. As the weather reports have just gotten worse and worse, I literally have been bumping up James Robinson up my half PPR rankings. I have Saquon, JT, Henry, Harris, Chubb, Robinson.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys for a flyer question. This is more for DFS, but I'm sure there's some people that own them. Any chance Jacksonville is a decent play today for a defense? With the weather, the fact that their defensive coordinator comes from Tampa, who runs the same defense that completely manhandled Jalen Hurts twice last year. They've got, pass rushers. They're creating turnovers. Any chance that they're a good play today? They're 2,300 on DraftKings, which is like unbelievably cheap for a talented defense.
They, they do have good pass rush. They have playmakers. They also have, from an IDP standpoint, like Foye Oluokun is not a great football player. He's just not. I mean, as far as a linebacker goes, and that's the only area that I think that Philly could really exploit. I mean, their secondary is not world beaters in Jacksonville. They're not bad though. They're coming into their own. I mean, they really are.
The weather, right? That might not be as big of a concern today.
And that's why I think they focus more over the middle. Philly, that is.
Okay.
And that's the area of concern for me is Jacksonville over the middle because Oluokun's not he's great in, open field, like getting the tackles. Doesn't mean that you have to chase the person down, makes you a good defender. Jorge?
Does that mean Devontae is the guy you think from Philly that has the best chance to?
I think the person for Philly who eats this week is Dallas Goedert.
Okay.
I think just when I think about rainy games, I think of bad weather. I think about, okay, give me a running back who could churn out yardage and a big body receiver who could just haul in the difficult passes. And I think that's Dallas Goedert this week. AJ Brown should never be discounted.
Right.
But I think Goddard eats pretty well for the tight end position this week.
Les, do you think that we're overplaying the conditions in this game a little bit, or is that a fair narrative?
He's looking at his
not at all. I wish I could. I'm looking out the window right now, and it is getting worse. When we started the podcast, it was coming down heavy. Then it looked like it might clear up, but it's back. So not
windy too, Les?
Arlington, Virginia.
I said, is it windy too, or is it?
Yeah. I can see the rain going sideways. Yep.
Oh.
That's what concerns you more, right? For the passing game, is not so much the rain; it's the wind. Yeah,
exactly.
Or the combo of the two.
Yeah.
And I didn't check the Philly wind, but at least in Baltimore, they're looking at 13 miles per hour. So with rain.
Good thing Josh Allen's got big hands and can fire that pigskin.
Nate, some IDP news. Jadeveon Clowney has been declared out this week again. Back-to-back weeks.
I kind of expected
Suck
that.
it, Tyler.
I already had him out of my
Did you just say suck it, Tyler?
Yes, I did.
That's awesome.
Disappointing note is that Zadarius Smith's having a good game today, and he was my fade. But also, there's a lot of news this morning with New Orleans that might have changed some of that. What other news we got? Anything from this game necessarily?
No.
Breaking news? I don't think so. Zay Jones being announced, the big one. AJ Brown, of course, over the middle. When you say Goddard, AJ Brown is the one that I kind of pivoted to, but it's always going to be AJ Brown. I'm never going to not have him to consider. Defensive side, we talked about Philly's pass rush. Jacksonville's been better as keeping Lawrence upright. Brandon Graham was always someone that has come on the last couple weeks now, is intriguing to pay attention to. Both sides of the ball could keep the quarterbacks active.
Amazing what happens when Urban Meyer's not your coach.
It's shocking how much of an impact that has. And I want to believe in Jacksonville. I really do. It's fun to watch them do it the opposite from what they did a couple years back, where it was defense first and the offense just, didn't screw up too bad. Now the offense looks like it's potentially dangerous enough, and the defense just keeps making plays like they need to. And it's getting there.
Lawrence is the real deal, man. For real.
Absolutely. Demario Davis with a sack, Jorge.
Really good.
Ayuk or DK? Question in the chat.
Go for it.
I would go Ayuk. Just because, again, I think Lockett's going to get a little bit, he's going to get those slot snaps, which, again, Detroit's slot corner is just, he's dreadful. He would not even be in the top 3 of every starting corner in the league. So, but, again, how are you guys all got these teams? I don't ever get to make these kind of decisions. Do y'all?
No, I mean,
it depends on the league.
That's 2 really good receivers.
So for full PPR, I'd go Ayuk. For anything less, I'd go DK.
I really like. I really don't want the Okuda DK Metcalf as much as I know they can move him around. We talked about Lockett. I just feel like that seems to be the pivot is Seattle will just focus towards Lockett, get him the targets. Les, you on the Ayuk side?
Yeah. We talked about this earlier with the connection with Jimmy G versus Geno Smith. I mean, he's playing well. He's exceeding expectations right now, but I think he's ready to set somebody up for failure. Throwing the ball.
When Drew Lock finally is under center, then I'll be on the DK train. But until then, I'm being dead serious. Drew Lock will be starting for the Seahawks.
You really think so? I think Geno's played pretty good.
I'm starting Geno in a bunch of leagues. I think he's been playing pretty consistently.
He is one of my favorite bargain tier plays this week.
I think he's been underwhelming, but give it 4 or 5 weeks and we'll see Drew Lock.
I'm shocked that he actually started over Drew Lock.
Well, that's what I was. Yeah, I definitely thought Lock was going to win that job.
But I don't think he's done a lot to let go of the job. And I don't know what can happen short of, they're not.
And with this QB class, you really do you want to win? Yeah, exactly.
I know. Lose. I think they don't have to do much to lose, which is beneficial. But, you win this game against Detroit and all of a sudden you got 2 wins and you're
in the NFC West too.
Yeah, I know. New York Jets, Pittsburgh Steelers, both teams at 1 and 2. 41.5 point total in this game. I don't know. I don't think I would want to touch that personally. I don't know if I trust Zach Wilson coming back yet to start off, even if he was probably already back. I do want to see the one thing is what the pass volume turns into. I don't think anybody's going to question or think that it's going to stay the same, right? None of us can really believe that it's going to be 50 pass attempts a game. But does Breece Hall and Michael Carter still get as heavily involved in this passing attack?
Oh, yeah. Michael Carter, I think, had 3 games last year with Zach Wilson started that he had 9 or more receptions. So,
Zach Wilson starting today?
Yes.
He is? Okay. I wasn't sure.
Michael Carr is another guy that for DK, I kind of like him in his price range. I think he's 5,300.
Yeah. Okay. We talked earlier about Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson is a good play. As far as any other receivers with the Jets, do we
just the tight end Conklin?
Conklin, and that's it, right? There can't be much else there. I don't believe the Corey
Davis is all boomer, boomer bust. It's like he one big. It's kind of like Bateman, honestly.
Yeah. On Pittsburgh side, I'm kind of shocked. I didn't realize that Deontay is occupying 30% target share.
Oh yeah,
and he is, I believe, third in the NFL in target share, fourth.
I want that guy to have a decent quarterback so bad.
I know, and that will that be Kenny Pickett? I don't know if that's the answer, but I would like to see just something.
Why are they saying that it's didn't Tomlin come out and say that he's not going to play this year, or like that Trubisky's the starter all year or something like that?
He has not entertained the idea of thinking about a quarterback change.
Okay, that's a little different. Okay, I got you. He's been a coach.
That whole team, you can't blame the losses all on Trubisky.
No. I'm not. I'm just saying in the situation they're in, you drafted this guy. There's a good quarterback class. It's like with my Falcons. I'm in the same boat. It's like, get Riddler in so we can see what we have. We'll probably lose anyway, and then we can either get a QB next year, or if he's the answer, great. We trade for a bunch of draft picks.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Yeah. The the Najee game could be in full effect here. Jets aren't great against the run. They don't have Quincy Williams in the middle at linebacker. He's out. They have to go with maybe Quan Alexander. I think what's his name? Marcel Harris is the other option. Carl Lawson, IDP wise, could be an intriguing play. You get some pressure on the Pittsburgh offensive line, and Alex Highsmith on the other side has always been good to put pressure against this Jets offensive line that is still trying to get comfortable and healthy, and just they're in for a long game, if you ask me, in this one. Buffalo, Baltimore. Weather, we don't have to say anything more. If I hear weather one more time from for myself, because I keep saying it, maybe I'll just mute myself. But 50-point total over. Is anybody touching that? Keith, you got $20 to bet. Are you even coming close to betting the over on that? If it's plus 250, yeah, really.
Baltimore's defense is that bad, and then I think that puts them in a situation where they're going to have to try to score, which is either going to lead to turnovers for touchdowns for Buffalo, which maybe could help them get to the that point total that way. But this Baltimore secondary, look at the offenses they played and what they've done. I know the weather's bad. I can't believe, look what Buffalo did to Tennessee. Their secondaries have kind of graded out very similar.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry about that. Getting excited for this. The next game, or the next conversation is, Dave, this is the time. Baltimore has been doing everything on the legs of Lamar Jackson. We know that. They need J.K. Dobbins. They need a healthy running back, or at least an RB1. Are you gaining confidence at all in J.K. Dobbins from this point or going forward?
No, I'm excited about J.K. Dobbins as much as I am taking a COVID shot. I don't think he goes in there. He's the running back two behind Lamar Jackson. Yeah. Lamar is just. I actually was really down on Lamar, and I was absolutely incorrect. Before the season. But look, they've used Justice Hill a bit as well. There's just so many guys there. I just can't see him really getting a run. You got Kenyon Drake there too, right? Who gets a run or two every now and then. If they're going to run, they're using Lamar. But Lamar has been passing the ball a lot lately. So turning into more shifting towards a passing quarterback rather than a run-first guy.
Ravens deserve a lot of credit for steering into what Lamar does well. They got two tight ends, right, that are great. Lamar's great in between the hashes. Rashard Bateman, another big receiver, can go over the middle. I love what they did, and I would not give up on Dobbins. He did this his rookie year, coming off an injury. The last 7 games his rookie year, he was a beast. So I'd be patient coming off a significant injury.
Gotcha. And pretty much on that note, obviously there's with Buffalo, we're starting Josh Allen, Devin Singletary's starting. We're not, we have questions. Monitor Gabe Davis in that situation with what he's going to do and how he's going to health wise fit in. We got to monitor that, and we'll see the Bateman. Mark Andrews is a must. IDP Jorge. Any noteworthy situations? I mean, maybe pay attention to JPP's usage.
That's yes. Also, currently Poyer is still quote unquote questionable. I don't know if that's been confirmed. He is a full start today, so that's something to take into consideration. Your defensive back position before kickoff, as we're less than an hour away from 1 o'clock kickoffs here. We don't want to give this guy credit because just, it can't be, it's a mirage, right? Marcus Williams has to be a mirage, but I mean, that mirage is looking pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's the question is really, if you had to run to your waiver wire to get Marcus Williams to fill in your defensive back spot, well, that tells me you were already pretty weak at defensive back to begin with. So you're probably still going to keep rolling with him based off of what's probably available out there now.
Exactly.
So I would definitely do that.
Yeah, because last week it was a return back to norm. The 10 points that he put up because with that pass deflection helped a 5-tackle performance, and that 10-point week is probably more indicative of what you'll see going forward, more so than the 24-point average that he had in weeks 1 and weeks 2. So Poyer is active, at least what it shows. Says he's in pregame, expects to play. Poyer just a huge impact for that defense as a whole, from a leadership role all the way down to an actual playmaker role, or probably playmaker the opposite direction because he is so dynamic. I need to put him in my rankings. And if anybody has any more questions out there as far as rankings, start sets for the later games that we did not get a chance to cover, obviously reach out to us at Fantasy and Frames on Twitter, or directly to Jorge B. Edwards, Keith Fleming with 2 M's, Dave's at Connect Go, and Les is at Spectacularless, which is SPECTACULARLES, or me, Nate Markham. Other than that, guys, any other final pieces that you want to just kind of spit out? Any final clairvoyance?
Well, yes, but not football related. We want to thank everybody who tuned in this morning and asked all your start sit questions, and all the returning people. Great seeing you again for all the new ones. Hope we steered you in the right direction. Look forward to seeing you next week. I don't know, guys. We try and cover all these games, and it's unfortunate we're not going to be able to get to all of them this week. Maybe that just means we just have to start earlier and just get everybody's questions answered and cover all these games. Who knows? If you all want our information, we are here to provide it for you.
Yep, that's the way I feel. So, on behalf of the Frames crew here, we will see you next week. Actually, we'll see you Wednesday for the Fantasy Podathon that we have every Wednesday night.
Take it easy, folks.
All right, y'all.
Rick Flair.